JuJu.
And I'm J-Bone.
And this is That JuJu and J-Bone Presents. You just saw Cecil Hepthorne's 1-minute film from the 1900s, from 1900, called Mother Would Be Pleased, How It Feels to Be Run Over. Now, why would Mother be pleased?
She told us to stay out of the road.
And she knew what was going to happen. She was right. Welcome to our Mother's Day special. We're coming at you from the Pacific Northwest to bring you freaky fables, spooky stories,
Interviews with authors and movie makers.
Yeah, movie makers, mostly writers, but anyone who has a story to tell, and much, much more.
So much more.
Come along with us.
As if I could do anything except just sit and stare, like one of his stuffed birds. Well, they know I can't even move a finger, and I won't. I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me. They're probably watching me. Well, let them. Let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even going to swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Oh, hello there. Happy Mother's Day. I would love to read you a nice little poem by one of our favorite authors, Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. Now, mind you, I'm going to read this the best I can because my eyes just aren't what they used to be. This poem is entitled To My Mother by Edgar Allan Poe, circa 1849. Because I feel that, in the heavens above, the angels whispering to one another, can find among their burning terms of love none so devotional as that of mother. Therefore, by that dear name I long have called you, you who are more than mother unto me, and fill my heart of hearts where death installed you, in setting my Virginia's spirit free. My mother, my own mother, who died early, was but the mother of myself, but you are mother to the one I loved so dearly, and thus are dearer than the mother I knew. By that infinity with which my wife was dearer to my soul than its soul life. And there you go. Happy Mother's Day. Up next is Titles Talk Tipples. Wonderful authors, wonderful drinks, wonderful conversations. Brought to you by Jude Matulich-Hall, the wonderful author of the Eversteam Chronicles.
Her guests include the illustrator of the Eversteam Chronicles, who is also a composer, Bridgette Brenmark, along with fantastic anthologist and novel writer Suzanne Craig-Whytock, who just released her newest book at the end of it all, as well as author of novels and short stories, Suzanne Madron. Later on in the show, we'll hear a short story by Suzanne Craig-Whytock.
Read to you by Bad JuJu.
And in a couple of weeks, you'll get a longer spooky story by Suzanne Madron. All of these stories include mothers.
Happy day, you mother.
Hey, I'm Jude Matulich-Hall, and this is Titles Talk Tipples. Happy Mother's Day. This is our Mother's Day special, and I'm here with many guests. Suzanne Craig-Whytock. She was my first guest on this show. We celebrated the 1-year anniversary with her, and we get to celebrate Mother's Day with her. She's coming at us from Canada. And Bridgette Brenmark. She is in Virginia. All of you guys are on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast. Bridgette is the illustrator to my novel, The Eversteam Chronicles. And Suzanne Madron, oh my God, the vampire queen. And so all of these faces super familiar. Susie's coming at us from Pennsylvania, and we are drinking.
Oh, yes.
So, what are you guys drinking? I have an old fashioned.
Oh,
very
I've
nice.
got. What do you got?
Rosé.
Oh, nice.
I've got hard seltzer, classic cola flavor.
I've got a Chilean Viognier. Connoisseur bicyclettes, Chilean Viognier.
All right, cheers.
Yes, cheers, everyone.
All right, so we're going to jump right in. Number 1, pen or pencil? Go.
Neither.
Pen and pencil.
Neither.
Oh.
Depends on what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm drawing, pencil.
Yeah.
If I'm writing, pen.
Okay, awesome. I'm a big pencil person. I even have pencils with the Eversteam Chronicles by Jude on them. What authors have inspired you, Suzanne Craig-Whytock?
Well, you mean in general or like recently?
Oh, whatever.
So in general, I was talking to somebody the other day. I was interviewed by a local radio station, and I said, like, I consider my writing a cross between like 2 biggest influences, which would be Stephen King and Shirley Jackson. So those are 2 people that I'm very heavily influenced by in terms of my own writing. In terms of what I've been reading lately, a writer that I love, Stephen Barrett, who just wrote a new short story collection called Asunder Baby.
Suzi, Lovecraft, Poe, or King?
Well, since King was influenced a lot by Lovecraft, it's kind of a twofer deal. So I'm going to go for Poe.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Bridgette, another multiple choice.
Okay.
Mary Shelley, Agatha Christie, or Ursula Le Guin?
Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie. Ding, ding. Nice.
Yeah.
I
do love the others, but
yeah. Do you have a favorite?
I just, gosh, I don't know. I guess Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that would be my second. I'm on ABC Murders. They changed.
And then there were none.
And then there were none.
And then there were none. Yes.
And then there were none. Yes. And I'm not going to make you choose a favorite Poe, Suzi, because unless you have a favorite, but
honestly, I really love The Raven.
Yeah.
And I know it's like so cliche, but it's just like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That whole catchiness to it, and that it's almost like a Smith song. You know,
Yeah.
where it's got that upbeat tempo, but at the same time you listen to the lyrics and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. You're going to a secluded place and can only take 3 books with you. Suzi, 3 books that you would take with you.
Haunted by James Herbert, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole, and Anne Radcliffe's Mysteries of Udolpho.
Nice. That was good.
Nice.
That was fast. All right. Suzanne, since you were like, yes.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I can't take those ones, I would take, like I said, A Sunder Baby by Stephen Baird, Melinda Haynes' Chalktown, which is never got quite the credit it deserved for being an incredibly good book, and Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, which is one of my favorite books of all time.
Nice.
Okay, so I said the Two Towers, right?
Mhm.
Two Towers. Bad Omens, Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett, and
Wait, Good Omens?
Good Omens.
Good Omens.
Good Omens.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, that one.
Good Omens. Depends on which way you turn the book. And Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen.
Awesome. Okay, so you did Good Omens, so I can't choose Good Omens. Can I just say Terry Pratchett?
Yes.
And
Whichever one you grab first.
there you go. Susanna Clark's Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Ray Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. So if we all go together to this secluded place, we'll have 6
That'd be pretty great.
12 awesome books.
There we go.
This is a wonderful little short film by Walter R. Booth, filmed in 1901, called The Over-Incubated Baby, which I'm sure you can probably guess about what it's going to be. It's not going to become a chicken. It's not an egg.
A mother frustrated with the rearings of her little baby takes her child into this very special place to speed up its age with some pretty interesting outcomes.
Thermometer. Yeah, and then whoops.
It's an old man. It's an old man. Oh, a little visit from Bastet. Our little terror. I'm really excited to hear the answers to this. What experimental aspects do you play with in your work, or do you stick to the rules? Suzi.
I hate rules.
I hate rules.
I take the rules, I look at them, and I'm like, so yeah.
Yes, an experimental aspect.
I like to cross-pollinate between all of my series. So there's like guest appearances. So it's like
nice. Okay.
Throughout, like in my short stories, and here's the Immortal War, and here's the
It's the Suzi verse.
It is the Suzi verse.
Nice.
I love that. Well, I actually really love playing with dimension and texture when I'm painting. So I don't like just painting a flat picture.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm drawing or doing illustration, I like just putting different medium together that wouldn't necessarily go together. So,
Okay, cool. And Suzanne, how about you?
There are rules.
There are rules.
I don't know. I mean, I never really think about it. I do tend to write fairly traditional narratives to a certain extent. Like Suzi, I do a lot of crossover in my work, like characters from my novels reappear in my short stories and vice versa. I've got a very kind of like a universe myself, but I think I've been starting to branch out a little bit more into prose poetry and incorporating some of that into my short stories more probably than I have into my novels. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a degree in English literature, but I really don't pay attention.
Where is the strangest place the muse has visited you, Suzanne?
mm-hmm.
The strangest place the muse has visited me?
Yeah, where you got an idea.
I do have a lot of inspiration that comes from like dreams and nightmares. I like cemeteries.
Suzi, how about you?
I decided to play tourist one day. I went to Little Round Top and the entirety of the Metatron mysteries just like popped into my head. And the more I walked around Gettysburg, the more I was like,
Nice.
Well, I guess being in Afghanistan, and I would have to burn the mail. And so I would sit out at night with the burn barrel, and just burn in the mail, and I would just watch the fire.
Oh, okay. This is a Bad Juju and J-Bone question. So they want to know, there's no limit. What is your favorite monster?
Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Nice.
Yeah.
The mother of sci-fi, right?
Absolutely.
Or there's there's arguments.
The answer is yes.
Yes. We all agree.
The mother of all of it, yes.
Yes.
Suzi, how about you? Your favorite monster?
this is a tough one. I mean,
I know. It's so unfair.
You know what? It's the monster from House on Haunted Hill, the Vincent Price version.
Oh,
Where that woman comes out of that storage closet or whatever. And
I just got the chills. I totally just got the chills.
totally terrifying. And I was like, clearly Marilyn Manson took a cue from this lady.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That made me jump. And I don't jump.
Yeah.
Like that, I was crawling up the back of the chair, like, oh my God.
The monster that I am most afraid of. Do you remember Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah. The guy.
Yes.
That terrifies me. Oh my God, I hated that movie. It was promoted as like a fun romp through a children's labyrinth.
Fantasy.
And we went to see it, and it was horrifying.
It's really dark.
And
Yeah.
we walked out partway through because I was like, this is not a fun movie about a labyrinth. Where's David Bowie? I don't understand.
Oh my gosh.
And that monster.
Yeah. Suzanne, what are you working on? And what do you want to promote? It's up to you.
A little bit of both. So my new short story collection, At the End of It All, was released in February. It's available through Potter's Grove Press, but it's available on Amazon whatever, because it's available on all the Amazons. At the End of It All. The sequel to The Seventh Devil, the second book in the Seventh Devil trilogy, is out with Bookland Press this summer. And I'm also the editor of Dark Winter Literary Magazine. Don't forget, our submissions reopen on June 1st. We take poetry and short stories under 2,000 words.
I'm currently editing for a small press in the States, down in Virginia. And so that's what's been keeping me up most nights. But then I've got something under consideration where it's 2 novella style short stories, but they're happening simultaneously. So I'm trying to figure out how to format that. to go into a book. So that's one of the things I'm working on. And then I've got the Metatron 5, The House in the Circle in the Square, and Lost Signal Dead Air anthology, a collection of short stories that are all interrelated.
Gosh, so I have been finishing up for forever my book Haunting Melody, which is a workbook for writing spooky music. And so it's low on the story writing, but there still is some story in there, but it's a lot of music exercises and illustrations. And so illustrating my own book has just been crazy, but we're getting there.
So this workbook helps people to write music.
Yes.
And it teaches people how to do so.
Yes. And it's also spooky drawings, and reading a spooky journal was sort of a Lovecraftian bent, because you're reading the journal of Melody Zahn as she's trying to rescue her dad, which you can only assume is Eric Zahn from the other dimension, which of course requires music to do. So you're trying to figure out how to write some music that's going to open the portal and whatnot. So
That's cool.
Nice.
yeah, it's almost
That's
done.
Great. I'm so
Thank you.
excited.
Soon. It's like going to go to production so soon, but it is already on my website. So for pre-orders, I do make some creepy music boxes. Yes, on my website, music boxes of the macabre. It's all music composed by me, little snippets, spooky boxes. So yeah.
Well, awesome.
What we're going to be showing you is a little clip from news.
Yeah, it was a real newsreel.
Real newsreel, not really a movie, but it's the knife-throwing mother and her children from 1950.
Yes, this woman's name was Luella Gallagher. She was a professional knife thrower, and her children accompanied her, little Connie Ann, who was 5 years old, and Colleen Sue, who was only 2.5.
How do you say half?
A family, the Gallaghers. Connie Ann, 5 years old, and Colleen Sue, 2.5, are a big help to Mother Luella, who is no mean hand with a handful of knives. Connie Ann is a veteran at being a target for her mother's cutlery and doesn't turn a hair at Ma's cut-ups, even though Ma's pretty sharp with the cleavers. But Connie's ready for a stand-in, and evidently Colleen Sue has more trust in Mother's aim than the audience has. It takes a steady eye and a stout heart to heave knives at the apple of your eye. But this female William Tell has no qualms and plenty of faith. A near miss, but this miss says it's as good as a smile. Put yourself in her place. Well, I just tried, but gosh, I'm too bashful.
That is just insane. A near miss.
A near miss.
More like a near hit. Almost took that poor kid's ear off.
Goodness sakes. Oh, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
My child wants to be on TV.
Your child, how old is your child now?
He is.
Hi. Hello, child.
My God, you've grown like a foot since last
Right?
Mom was on the show. What's it like having a writer for a mom?
Well, pretty normal if you ask me.
Pretty normal, okay. Do you ever give her ideas?
Yes.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes if I'm out on the porch writing with him, then I get stuck on something. I'll be like, what do you think about this scene? And he'll be like, what if you added this?
Nice. Very good. Yeah. I think my child brought out a lot of creativity in me. How about you, Bridgette?
Oh, I am blessed in that my child is now off at college. But he is my spawn is my best editor, supporter. They don't pull punches.
Yeah.
And it helps me a lot. But
Right.
been a big inspiration, and like being able to reach that generation as well. Yeah.
I've been really lucky because I have a very literate daughter who loves to read as well. And she's one of the first people I use as a beta reader. She's really astute. She will tell me, like, she's good at pointing out flaws in logic and things like that. Like, you said this here, but like later you said that. So she's good at vetting those kinds of things. I've actually dedicated a couple of things to her. My first short story collection was dedicated to her.
I got stuck on page 50 of my first novel and didn't know what to do because I went back and read it and was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever read.
No.
And my kids started talking about steampunk and all those. And I was like, what is this? And then I started looking into it. And it totally broke open the rest of it. And I went back and rewrote it and just kept going. Yeah. So my kid like saved my first book. What is your pressure release as a mother, as a creative? You know, how did you deal with things? How do you deal with things? For me, I'm just going to throw out there yoga, meditation, and I am not afraid to admit the occasional booze. But, you know, when kept within reason, it can be very medicinal. How about you guys?
I mean, right now my son is 11 and he's in middle school. So I find that like my pressure release is we chat together and go out and I'll hang out with him, and it's my favorite room in the house. It's nice and sunny. It's got all my plants and everything in it. And so that's like my decompression chamber.
What has been helpful for me is sourdough.
Nice.
Because I know that it's something that I'm going to do on the weekend. It doesn't have to be the same thing that I make each weekend, but it's just kind of been a grounding thing, if that makes sense, to just know that it's something a little bit to look forward to on the weekend. And I know that it's something that if I invest in it every week, it's going to keep going. And so that's just been a helpful thing. And when there's an amazing bread that comes out of the oven and I can eat it, that's rewarding. So
That's nice.
I love that. Yeah.
When I'm feeling really stressed, I tend to like immerse myself either in writing or wine.
Yeah. Writing and wine.
You know, finding a good series on TV. My husband and I both love Drag Race, like drag and that kind of thing. So we watch a lot of drag. We go to a lot of drag shows, and we're just at drag story time. I think we were saying before, drag story time at the local library, and saw like a really nice big drag show here in Kitchener nearby here. So.
This has been Titles Talk and Tipples. I'm Jude Matulich-Hall, the author of the Eversteam Chronicles. With me, Suzanne Madron, Bridgette Brenmark, and Suzanne Craig-Whytock. Thank you so much for joining me. Take us out, ladies.
Don't forget to like,
subscribe,
and share, and don't forget to leave comments down below.
Thank you so much. This is so awesome. I love this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really nice
So
meeting
fun.
everyone.
Oh, it's great to meet all of you as well.
Children of the night, I'm Bad JuJu, and I'm here to read you a creepy bedtime story by Suzanne Craig-Whytock from her new anthology, At the End of It All. Just the right size. Rochelle glanced up at the clock. She was surprised. The day seemed to have run away with itself, and here it was, almost Cole's bedtime. The house was so quiet that she wondered where her 5-year-old son had gotten to. "Cole," she called out, her voice echoing throughout the house. "Where are you? It's bath time." Grumbling echoed back to her from upstairs, and a faint voice yelled, "I don't want a bath tonight. Please, can we just have stories? I'm so tired." Rochelle hummed softly as she made her way to her son's room. "Where are you?" she asked lightly, looking around but not seeing him anywhere. "Cole!" "Boo!" He jumped out at her from the closet, and she gave a small shriek. "You scared me!" She clutched her hand to her chest dramatically, and they both giggled. "No bath, huh? Why so tired?" "I don't know, I just am," he sighed, flopping down onto the carpet and lying back, his blonde hair fawning out around his head. "All right," she acquiesced. "Get your PJs on and climb into bed. We can skip the bath tonight, but tomorrow you have to stay in extra long until you are all pruny." "Ew," her son exclaimed, then became solid. "I can get my pajamas on by myself." Rochelle took the cue, laughing to herself. Since when had he gotten so mature? "I'll be downstairs cleaning up. Call me when you're under the covers." She went to the kitchen, absently drying the last of the dinner dishes, waiting for Cole's signal. She wiped down the table and still nothing from her son. Finally, she went back upstairs and stood outside his door. "What are you doing? Aren't you changed yet?" She heard a rustling and scuffling, then the sound of the bed springs squeaking. She entered the room just in time to see him squirm down under the blankets, surrounded by his collection of stuffed animals. "Ready," he announced with a smile. Rochelle grabbed a handful of books from the shelf under the night table. "What's it going to be?" she asked. She climbed onto the bed and shoved some of the toys aside to make room for herself. Then her nose wrinkled. There was a strange smell coming from somewhere, a foul odor that reminded her of rotten meat. She leaned closer to the bed and sniffed. The smell was coming from within the cluster of stuffies that Cole insisted he couldn't sleep without. She moved some of them aside, then leapt off the bed in horror. "Cole! What on earth is that?" She pointed to a tiny creature hidden among the teddy bears, pink pigs, kitties, and other assorted animals. That's Timmy," Cole said mildly, reaching out to gently stroke the mouse's head. Then he yawned. "Can we read Mike and the Magic Dump Truck?" "No, we can't. We can't read Mike and the Magic Dump Truck. Why is there a dead mouse in your bed?" Cole's brow furrowed. "He's my friend. Why can't we read?" Rochelle was stunned. "But Cole, you can't keep him in your bed." "Why not?" Because he's dead." "So everyone else is dead too," he gestured at the rest of the stuffed figures surrounding his pillow. Rochelle struggled to make sense of what was happening. "But Cole, the rest of your friends were never alive in the first place." Cole looked confused. "Weren't they?" "No, honey, they're just toys, remember? We bought them at the store. Your new friend, Timmy, he didn't come from a store. Where did you get him?" "I don't know," he answered, refusing to meet her stare. "He was just here. Can we have stories now? I'm tired." For the first time, Rochelle saw a look on her son's face that she didn't recognize, and she knew he was lying. But she wasn't sure what to do. The only thing she was certain about was that the dead mouse had to go. She picked it up gingerly by its tail and went to leave the room. Cole shrieked, "Mommy, no!" And she looked back. He had tears in his eyes. "He's my friend," he whispered. Rochelle's heart clenched in her chest. "I'm sorry, honey, but you can't have a dead mouse in your bed. I'll tell you what, tomorrow we'll go to the store and buy you a stuffed mouse, okay?" Cole said nothing. He just stared at her, then closed his eyes and rolled over, pulling the the covers over his head. Rochelle went out to the garage with the mouse, intending to put it in the garbage can. Before she deposited it, she held it up and examined it. Its head was twisted at a strange angle, and it was stiff and cold. She shivered and dropped it in the garbage can, putting the lid on securely. She went back up to Cole's room, but he turned off the light. Whether he was actually asleep or pretending, she couldn't tell, but she left him alone. The next morning, Rochelle didn't know what to expect, but Cole seemed fine. He didn't ask about the mouse or about going shopping after school, and Rochelle didn't broach the subject, hoping that a good night's sleep might have helped him forget the incident completely. She got him ready for school, and he chattered away in the car happily until she dropped him off. The rest of the week followed the same pattern, until Thursday. The call came to her office at the real estate agency where she worked. It was Cole's kindergarten teacher. She answered the phone in a panic, fearing the worst, that he'd fallen on the playground or hurt himself somehow, but the teacher, Miss Kennedy, reassured her immediately that Cole was all right. "I'm really sorry to bother you at work over something like this," Miss Kennedy began nervously, "but I really think we need to deal with it right away." "What do we need to deal with? What happened?" Rochelle could tell from the teacher's voice that she was trying hard not to reveal how upset she was, but she couldn't imagine what Cole might have done to prompt such a reaction. "Well, it's just that I was out on the playground at recess break, and Cole had a bit of a crowd around him. He was showing the other children a dead mole." Rochelle's heart sank as she remembered Timmy. "A mole?" she repeated faintly. "Where did he get it from?" "I don't know," Miss Kennedy said. "I overheard him telling the other children that it was called Andy and that it was his friend. He had a small gift box, and when he saw me watching, he put it back in the box and tried to hide it, but I made him show me. He was quite upset when I took it away, but I think you'll agree that—" "Yes," Rochelle interrupted. "It was the right thing to do. I'll speak to him when he comes home. I'm very sorry about this." "Oh, don't be," Miss Kennedy tried to comfort her. "Children do strange things sometimes. Believe me, I've been a kindergarten teacher for almost 20 years and I've seen it all. I wouldn't worry too much. I just wonder what?" "Well, I don't mean to pry, but I know that Cole's father died when he was very young. Perhaps this is his way of coming to terms with death?" Rochelle put a hand over her eyes and sighed deeply. "Maybe. I'll talk to him, don't worry." She didn't see how the two things could possibly be related. Matt had passed away from cancer when Cole was barely 2. There were pictures of the three of them around the house, but Cole had never asked about his father, let alone expressed any emotion about his father's death. The funeral had been open casket, but Cole couldn't possibly have remembered any of it, could he? She resolved to broach the topic gently with him later, but after she addressed the issue of Andy. She picked Cole up from school as usual. Miss Kennedy was waiting at the door, and she handed Rochelle the backpack, giving her a pointed look. The car ride home was silent. Cole sat in the back, fidgeting distractedly, avoiding Rochelle's eyes in the rearview mirror every time she glanced back at him. Once they were in the house, he ran up to his room right away to play before dinner. Rochelle took his backpack into the kitchen, bizarrely hoping that the kindergarten teacher was somehow wrong or had made a mistake. But sure enough, there was a small gift box inside, gaily decorated with red and green Christmas ornaments. She didn't want to open it knowing what was in it, but she had to make sure. She lifted the lid, and at the sight of the mole, bloated, eyes wide open and staring, she suppressed a scream and slammed the lid back on. "Cole, get down here right now!" She heard his footsteps clattering on the stairs. "What's wrong, Mommy?" he asked, and then he saw the box in her hands. Instead of being embarrassed or ashamed, he was livid. "Hey, that's mine!" he yelled, trying to grab the box out of her hands. "You can't have it!" She held the box up just out of his reach. "Cole, stop. What's going on? Where did you get this from?" His eyes narrowed and he refused to answer. He just stared at her, silently fuming. "Answer me." "I found it in the dining room closet," he answered sullenly. "I'm not talking about the gift box. Where did you get the dead mole?" "Then That's Andy. Can I have him back now? Rochelle was at a loss. Obviously getting angry with Cole wasn't having any effect. She tried a different tact. Come and sit down with me on the couch for a minute. Let's talk about this. Cole followed her over to the couch and plunkered himself down next to her, staring up at her with big eyes. Honey, the mole, Andy, he's dead, and I know you care about him, but you can't keep him. Why don't we bury him in the backyard? Then you can visit him whenever you want. We can even get him a nicer box. I don't want to bury him, and I don't want a different box. I like that one. It's just the right size. Now give him back. Enough, she said quietly. We're not talking about this anymore. Go to your room until I call you for dinner. Cole's face twisted until he was no longer recognizable as the sweet little boy she knew. He stormed off. Then suddenly, he turned and asked calmly, "How tall are you, Mommy?" Rochelle blinked, confused by the sudden shift in his behavior. 5'5", she answered. Why? That's really tall, Cole answered with a strange smile. It'll be hard to find a box that's just the right size. He turned and ran up the stairs before she could even respond. Rochelle shook her head in bewilderment, then caught sight of the mole. She peered more closely at the tiny body in the Christmas box. With a shudder, she realized that, like the mouse, the mole's head was bent at an unnatural angle, as if someone with tiny hands had throttled it until its neck finally snapped. And that was Just the Right Size by Suzanne Craig-Whytock in her new book, At the End of It All. Dreadful Dreams. Thank you so much for joining us this spooky evening for our Mother's Day special.
It means a lot to us.
So go give your mother a kiss.
And a hug.
And send her our love.
And some dead flowers.
And some loathe. You go scratch your werewolf mothers behind the ears and midnight walk on a moon-filled night. Give some blood pudding to your vampire mommies.
Maybe change the bandages on your mummy. Your mummy.
Yes. This is little Bastet, the mother goddess of chaos. Who's that?
This is the wonderful mother of some tiny little spiders that we have all over the place. Just a beautiful little specimen.
So, whatever shape or size your mommy is, do something nice. And have a wonderful evening.
And don't forget to like. And please subscribe. It helps us out a lot.
And share.
And share this with your friends, your fiends.
Your foes.
Okay.
All right.